We have made it to the month of June here in year number 4, the Chicago White Sox franchise here on MLB the Show 25. Our team has been stuck around the middle of the standings as we are currently 30-30. Going into the year, though, I said that I want to see this team contend for a wild card spot, and being 560 games into the year suggests that we'll be in the mix, hopefully through the summer months and playing some competitive baseball late in the season. We've been a little up and down throughout the year. Despite being exactly 500, we've been streaky. We started the month slowly, had a good stretch. We won 5 in a row against the Rockies and the Guardians. Have kind of come back down to earth a little bit, but have still won 6 of our last 10. We're only 3.5 games out of first place in the division. Right now it's the Royals, but all 5 teams are in the mix. Everybody's within 5 games of each other. And then we're 2.5 games out of the final wild card spot, which again is very close, although the Angels have lost 11 in a row. They have completely fallen out of the picture after an impressive April, and they started 25-24, and now they're looking a lot more like the Angels from last year. Still, loads of parity across baseball. All but 2 teams, the Rockies and the Nationals, have won at least 40% of their games, and then all but 3 teams have won less than 60%. There's a lot of teams in the middle of the standings, but none have been more mediocre than us. Smack dab in the middle, we've won 50% of our games exactly. The big storyline today is the return of Edgar Quero. His wheel spin punishment will be over, and he will be making his season debut towards the end of the month after missing the first 81 games of the year. Boy, this is exciting. Coming off a fantastic rookie season where he won the Rookie of the Year, won a Silver Slugger, made the All-Star game. Our 81st game is the final matchup against Baltimore. So that means game 82 will be the first against the Giants. That will be when we can take Edgar Quero off the injured list. But for now, we will have to deal without him. We are also a little bit shorthanded with no Cody Hosey or Emmanuel Rivera. In terms of some notable storylines, of course, we've seen guys like Luis Robert and Dylan Cruz really catch fire. Both of them had rough Aprils, and it's been a lot better here in May. Cruz still is not drawing walks, and neither is Lubob, but both guys have been productive. Kyle Teal's really hitting the ball well. His average up to nearly 290. The power, I think, has been in a pretty good spot. And he has nearly 3 WAR already. He's been one of the most valuable players in the American League, as he is currently in the top 10. I think he's 3rd amongst AL catchers, and he's 9th overall. 1 spot ahead of his teammate, Luis Robert, who was dead even for the first 3 weeks of the year. Lubob did not homer until maybe game 20 or something. It's impressive that he was so bad over the first portion of the year. And now all of a sudden he is back to the Luis Robert we all know and love. He's cooled off a little bit over his last 10, but he has still been highly productive. Hits in each of his last 5 or 6 games, multiple home runs. He's at 14 long balls total on the year, and the walk rate has gotten better. Granted, still not good. But you combine that with his elite power and his fantastic defense, 2.5 WAR, 10th in the American League, and he's in the mix amongst the AL home run leaders as he's currently tied for 8th with a couple of guys, including the youngster Russell Russo with the Los Angeles Angels. Certainly a far cry considering a month and a half ago he had 0. Otherwise, we've got some guys who are not playing so well. There's a reason why our team only went 500 in May, despite those 3 players performing at a high level. The most notable of which is Colson Montgomery, who was demoted to AAA. He has not been great so far in the minors. He started slow. He's been playing a little better. But in 12 games, his OPS is barely above 600, and his WAR is still negative, which is not good. In the big leagues, he played 35 games. The power was solid, and that's really about it. Did not hit for contact, did not draw walks, played horrible defense. His -1 WAR was the lowest in Major League Baseball when we demoted him. It's unfortunate because he showed a lot of strides last year. He looked like not just a competent big leaguer, but a good one. And now he's fallen back to the same issues we saw in seasons 1 and 2. Despite the offensive improvements, it certainly has not been perfect. We're still 25th in batting average, way lower than last year. We are tied for 8th in walks. I like that. But we're 21st in on-base percentage. That's got to improve. That's not where we were a year ago. What I find most interesting, though, is we've climbed up the home run list really rapidly. We are currently tied for 9th with 76. which is wild because for much of April, we were in dead last. The guys are launching the ball out of the park. As for the pitching, it's been much of the same. The pitching's been really solid. Drew Thorpe is having another good season, although his last few starts, he's been a little bit shaky, not as good as he was early, but overall has had another strong season despite some inconsistencies as of recent. He has not made it out of the 6th inning at all, really, in the last month and a half. He's allowing a few too many base runners. John Gray's been pitching a lot better, though he started the year off slowly, but over his last 4 starts, he's only allowed 4 runs. Looks a lot more like the guy we paid $20 million to. Hayden Wesneski really has not slowed down at all. His numbers are still out of this world. Last couple of starts have been a little meh, so maybe he's finally coming back down to earth, but he's been really impressive. And then the young guys have been productive. Noah Schultz, 3.11 ERA, coming off the best game of his career. 8 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 11 punch-outs against Minnesota in a dominant performance. The problem, though, is the long balls. He's allowed 11 this year, 10 over his last 10 starts, so he's got to clean that up. Hagen Smith had a big issue with the home runs a season ago. I think he's improved upon it. And I think overall he's been quite solid this year. The consistency still is not perfect, but he's had some really good performances against the Rays, against the A's. He had 7 scoreless against the Pirates. The rotation feels like it's in a good spot, and I don't think any of the guys in AAA are challenging any of these rotation spots. Wilkerman Gonzalez and Emiliano Teodo have both been pretty good, but right now I feel good with our 5. The bullpen's been quite strong as well, headlined, of course, by Ezra Valenzuela. The rookie has a real shot of making the All-Star team as he is currently in 5th place amongst American League closers. Usually, I think there's 6 at this position. So there's a real shot that Ezra makes it into the All-Star game as a rookie, and it's well-deserved. He's been fantastic this year. I did change his pitching motion back to the submarine style. That's what it seemed like you guys wanted. At first, when I made the switch, I felt like the new style would be more of his forte, but I don't know. I enjoyed pitching with him more with the submarine, so I think that's what we're ultimately going to roll with. We've got scouting today at the end of the episode as well. Next time around, of course, we have the MLB draft. We have 2 first-round picks, thanks to Edgar Caro winning the Rookie of the Year. We'll go over that a little bit more in depth at the end of the episode. But for now, let's talk wheel spin. Last episode, we landed on Hagen Smith, and we got to boost all of his ratings by 1. Today, I think we're going to pick Braden Montgomery, my guy, the player who I have been mashing with in the games that I've played. He has had an up and down season. He really hasn't been all that good in May, but he's played better over the last week or so. So I'm hoping that positive momentum will help him out a little bit. Even though the offense really is not consistent yet, contact is mediocre, power is below average, the guy's a good ball player. We're seeing some flashes with him, 3 extra base hits over the last 2 games. He's consistent, he's reliable, he knows how to get on base. But his approach has been a lot worse from April to May. The walk rate, while still good at 10%, has gone down quite a bit over the last month or so. That was a big reason why he was playing well early in the season. So if we can get him back to drawing walks, still playing elite defense, and more offensive flashes, then I'll continue to be pleased with his first full season in the big leagues. So he will be our wheel spin for the month of June, and ultimately we land on no easy outs. Isn't this ironic? Because we've been talking about him drawing walks. For every walk that he draws in today's episode, his plate discipline rating will go up by 0.5. So in other words, it'll go up by 1 for every 2 walks that he gets. Hopefully it's like April where he had like 12 or 13 walks. That would be a nice boost of around 6, 7 to his plate discipline. And not like May, where he really has not drawn any walks as of recent, only 1 over his last 10 games. As for our wheel spin division, last time around we did the American League West, which was extremely close. It still is. The A's have overtaken the Rangers for first place. Looks like a 3-horse race at the top with the Astros and the Angels, the 2 rebuilding teams, clearly coming back down to earth. Russell Russo will go up by 1 for every 0.5 WAR he gets. Willie only got 0.1 WAR in the month of May, so his rating will not change. I was really curious to see how Brian Wu would do with his new ratings. He's still a machine. He's still Brian Wu. He's still at minimum a top 3 pitcher in Major League Baseball who's going to make a boatload of money, not this offseason, but the following when he's a free agent. I think you're looking at $300 million. Maybe not 300 because he'll be 30, but he'll be making a lot, put it that way, as his ratings go back to normal. Other than that, there weren't really many other highlights to discuss from the AL West as we move to the NL Central. The Cubs have been a pleasant surprise, 36-24, 5.5 games up in the division, third best record in baseball. I did not see this coming at all. I didn't really think they got much better in the offseason, especially after losing their ace, Justin Steele. A lot of guys have overperformed, specifically B.J. Murray at first base, the 28-year-old switch hitter, who has a non-zero chance of making the All-Star team. In year number 2 of this series, he was mashing in the minor leagues. He got a nice little ratings boost, and he has really benefited from that. Showed some good things last year, and this season has been fantastic. What are we going to spin for BJ? Demon time! His hitting ratings will be 99s, but only for one series. We'll see if A, he can perform well with the boosts, but also maybe it'll put him on fire and maybe he'll be able to continue to play well over a multi-week stretch and push himself into the All-Star game. The Milwaukee Brewers still feel like the favorite in the division. They're not currently in the playoff picture now, but remember, they started the year really poorly, and now over the month of May, they're starting to play better. Kind of weird, though, because Jackson Chourio was great early in the year and has forgotten how to hit the baseball. Bryce Terang, who was awesome in April, has not played in May. So one of their best players is injured. The other one's not playing well. How is this team improving? Well, the reason is Christian Yelich. He is regressing a lot, but as long as he continues to ball out, I will push his ratings back up. He started the year slow, but it's been terrific, as you can see, over the last 10. The Brewers have held him on the trade block forever. I don't know why. He's 2 years removed from an all-time playoff run and a World Series MVP. Long-term star. Potential goes up by 1 for every .5 WAR. I don't really see how this is going to help him that much, given that he's 36 and his potential isn't really all that important. But we'll see what he can do. He's currently at 1.6. Hasn't played any defense this year. He has been the full-time DH. The Reds are 29-30, kind of in the same spot that we are. I think last year I spun Hunter Green for them, and I think I'm going to pick him again because he's having a really weird year. The numbers are not great. ERA in the mid to high 4s, whipping around 1.5. He's only an 82. He's gotten worse throughout this series. But he's had some good games as of recent, and I'm thinking maybe he can right the ship a little bit. Well, unfortunately for the Reds, it is not a good spin. Elbow soreness. He will have to throw less innings in the month of June than he did in May. Otherwise, he will have to spin the wheel of Tommy John. Now, lucky for him, he's thrown a lot of innings this month. Over his last 5 starts, all 5 of them were quality starts, even though he's allowed multiple runs in quite a few of them. He's thrown a lot of innings, so that does bode well for him. The Reds might need to cut it back. Otherwise, there's a chance he could be looking at Tommy John and would likely miss the rest of this year and maybe all of next year. The Pirates, to me, are infuriating. They've built a solid roster with 2 aces, with Skeens and Jarrett Jones. They're ranked in the top half in terms of team rating, but a lot of guys, including Brian Reynolds, have not been great. Reynolds' average is only at 250, his OPS is at around 700, and his WAR is negative, given that he really does not provide anything defensively. Well, it's an interesting spin for Reynolds, as he will land on suspicious surprise. He will get a 60-game PED suspension if his OPS and his home run rate improve from where they are currently. 705 OPS, I would like to think that'll go up. I think the bigger question is the home run rate at 25.8, which is right around where it's been over the last few years. And then you've got the Cardinals in last. I thought St. Louis's rebuild made a lot of progress last year, and now I feel like it's kind of slowed down a little bit, and they are back at the bottom. They've got some guys playing really well. Tink Hence has become one of the best pitchers in baseball, but they just don't have enough around him. Ivan Herrera has made the All-Star team in back-to-back seasons, but he has been really disappointing this year. WAR around .5, given that he plays catcher. Not that he's really a great defender to begin with. It's an interesting spin here for Herrera, as he will get swinging for the fences. Minus 20 contact, plus 20 power. I used to think this was not a good spin, but we've seen it with other guys, specifically other catchers. Edgar Caro and Cal Raleigh last year. It's really helped them. So we'll see if that ends up being the case for Ivan Herrera, who goes up to an 86 overall. Contact ratings are still pretty good, 69 and 51. Those are really solid. And the power, which has been an issue for him, he's only homered 4 times. That should be a lot better. So those are our wheel spins here for the NL Central. That'll bring us into the month of June. I kind of wanted to play Toronto, but they still have not brought up Antoine Sonnenberg. It's not because of performance, it's because he tore his Achilles. That is unfortunate. He played 9 games in AAA, already up to .7 WAR, hitting 400, on-base percentage above 500. But Antoine Sonnenberg will not make his big league debut this year because of the injury. So I figure I'd rather play Detroit instead. That could be a really important series for the American League Central. So we've got 3 games against the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to hop into this last game after losing the first 2. We're trying to avoid the sweep. Really good pitching performances from, ironically, Hunter Green, along with Noah Schultz. As Oswaldo Escobedo is up with the bases loaded. Can't say I'm overly confident here. Waldo has a high clutch rating, but we've never really seen him activate it. And obviously, you know this team with the bases loaded, not great. Behind 0-2, swinging a miss on the slider. Felt like he had to protect with 2 strikes. Swinging a miss. Good pitch to get out of the inning by Alexis Diaz. And ultimately, the Cincinnati Reds would win this game. The White Sox get swept. Christian Encarnacion Strand with a walk-off single in the 10th off of Ezra Valenzuela, who takes the loss. We only had 4 hits today. Douglas Cato was good. He had 2 doubles and a walk. Nobody else showed up at all. It's unfortunate. We wasted another great start from Schultz. His ERA down to 2.95. 7 innings of 1-run ball. He gets the loss, though, because the offense laid an egg. Matt McClain homered, Encarnacion obviously with the other run, and Hunter Green was terrific. Not the start to the episode we were hoping for, especially with losing these 2 games, 7-4 in the first one. Braden Montgomery homered. Didn't draw any walks, though. I think he drew a walk in the last game. Drew Thorpe, 4 innings, 4 earned. He was not very good. Outplayed by his former teammate, Bailey Falter. So I'm a little worried about Thorpe. He's had a couple of shaky starts in a row, and hopefully he can pitch a little bit better in this series against Detroit. The Tigers are now in first place of the division as the Royals have lost 4 in a row. We're currently 5 back of the Tigers, and I feel like if we want any chance of really being able to make a run in this division, we've got to win this series. Let's take 2 of 3 on the road at Comerica Park. We just played in one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in Cincinnati, now one of the most pitcher-friendly. I'm going to play the last game, ace versus ace, Drew Thorpe against Tarek Skubal, as we ended up winning the first game, 6-1, off to a good start. Now the bases are loaded again, down by 1. We do have Kyle Teal up. There are not many guys on the roster I would rather in this spot than Kyle Teal, who I think really deserves his flowers for playing quite well in place of Edgar Caro, who is only 3 weeks away now from returning. Teal belts this one to second. Luis Rengifo drops it. Throw to first, still in time. The bad news is that the White Sox leave him loaded yet again. The good news is we still ended up winning. Luis Robert with a 2-run shot to help us get the win 3-2. So going into the last game, we don't even have to worry about winning the series because we've already taken the first 2 here in Detroit, and now we are going for the sweep with our ace. Lou Bob hit the homer in the 8th. Another strong game from Douglas Cato, who still is not hitting the ball great, but it seems like he's getting more comfortable after missing the first, really, 2 months of the year. Lou Bob drove in the only other run off of the sac fly. He also had an error, his first of the year. I'm not going to get on him for that because he's the reason why we won this game offensively. Hayden Wisniewski was solid. Bullpen was great. The first game of this series we won in convincing fashion. We ended up taking that game 6-1. Hagen Smith, really solid outing. 2 doubles for Brian Ramos, who's hitting the ball well over the last couple of weeks. And then Smith, 5 2/3, 0 earned runs allowed. His ERA down to 3.19. We still have not gotten enough consistency from him and Noah Schultz, but those 2 have been awfully productive this year. I am happy with their seasons. On to the 3rd and final game here at Comerica. 32-33, looking to get back up to 500 and looking to sweep the American League Central leading Detroit Tigers. The goal was to win the series. We've already done that. You could say we're playing with house money, but I don't want to go into this game with that idea. I want to get the sweep, and it's going to be a fun one. Tarek Skubal and Drew Thorpe, 2 of the best pitchers in the league, although neither of them have been playing their best ball as of recent. Thorpe, as I've mentioned, has been a little shaky over his last roughly 4 or 5 starts. And then Tarek Skubal's numbers are down. 3.7 ERA. He hasn't been bad, but he's not pitching like the $300 million guy that the Tigers paid him to be a couple off seasons ago. They're going to need him to look more like the Tarek Skubal that we've seen through the first few seasons of the series. Here are both lineups. The White Sox mixing it up, given that we're facing off against a lefty, and not just any lefty. Probably the best lefty in the league, even though he hasn't really shown it this year. We know how dangerous this guy is. We'll start things off with Douglas Cato, who will lead this one off. Count is full, working a competitive at bat. but he goes down on the circle change. Tarek Skubal's a guy who does not throw many walks. He keeps it in the strike zone or around the zone. His pitches are still somewhat unhittable. Oswaldo Escobedo hits that one, though. That'll go into left. Riley Green somersaults in the outfield, completely misplays it. Waldo thinks about 3. He's going to retreat. But a one-out double for Oswaldo Escobedo, who gives the White Sox an early runner in scoring position and a chance to potentially do some damage. Luis Robert is the reason why we won the previous game, drove in all 3 of our runs, including a 2-run shot in the 8th. He goes down on the high and inside fastball. Good pitch by Skubal. Dylan Cruz now up for the White Sox, and he is chasing the circle change. That was not the shot. Denzel Valentine. So Skubal strikes out 3, leaves a runner at second. No score going in the bottom of the first as we take a look at Drew Thorpe, who over his last 4 games has not been great. Hasn't been horrible, and it's not like he's had one start that's been really bad, but for his standards, which are really high, he has not looked like an ace. Still, though, with how well he pitched in April, his ERA is still below 3. WHIP is at around 1.36. Not great for him by any metric, as Luis Rengifo goes down the circle change. The Rengifo contract has not aged well for the Tigers. .2 WAR since the start of last year, and he's dead even this year. They're paying him basically Javier Baez money. Parker Meadows goes down on the circle change. Another punch out for Drew Thorpe. 2 for 2 so far. We'll go top of the second. Daniel Schneemann up for the White Sox, and he gets plunked. Charge the mound. Charge the mound. Luis Angel Acuna has not been great, much like Colson Montgomery this year. Puts it shallow on the ground. Going to be a close play at first, and he's safe. Good hustle by Luis Angel Acuna. It goes for an infield hit, as the catcher William Contreras cannot make the play on it. Contreras, of course, signed for big money this offseason, one of the most prized free agents of the class. Romeo Sanabria on the ground, could be 2, and it is. 6-4-3 double play, and sure enough, the White Sox continue to struggle with runners on base. Least surprising thing ever. Bottom 2, a Eugenio Suarez into left. Cato will not make the diving catch. First hit of the game for Detroit. Suarez will hold at second with a double, and he is in scoring position with 2 away. We'll see if the Tigers can add a run here early. That'll bring up the number 7 hitter, the young catcher Tyrone Luranzo. Only hitting 120 this year. That one gets away from Romeo Sanabria, and Suarez makes it to third. I don't know if that changes too much, but maybe an infield single. That would get him in now, I guess. Count is even 2-2 for Luranzo. And he goes down on the inside cutter. Good pitch by Drew Thorpe, who has looked a lot more like himself through the first 2 innings. He's only allowed the 1 hit, 3 punch-outs. That'll bring us into the third. Not much offense yet. Braden Montgomery leads things off. He's a little worse against lefties than righties, but it doesn't matter. He's still raking into left center field. It'll one-hop off the wall for a double. BMO's attributes against lefties are worse, and he's playing against the best lefty in the game. So instead of an early home run, we'll have to settle for a double. Escobedo sends this one into left center. That'll score the run. The White Sox on the board first. It's an RBI double for Oswaldo Escobedo, and it's 1-0. Finally, a clutch hit from Waldo. It's been a while. But with that, the White Sox are on the board, and they're looking for more. 1-2 for Luis Robert. He goes down on the circle change. That was a good pitch to hit. Kind of towards the middle. I feel like Skubal sort of mislocated it, but Luke Bob just missed it. 3-1 for Cruz. It's a sharp grounder to first. Lorenzo makes the play. Sox get 1, though, with an RBI double by Oswaldo Escobedo, as that'll bring us into the bottom of the third. Top of the order back up for Detroit. A full count here for the second baseman, Luis Rengifo, and he puts it on the ground over to first. Ramos with the backhanded scoop, tags the base. 3 innings, just 1 hit allowed for Drew Thorpe. He has looked awfully impressive so far, as that will bring us into the fourth. Brian Ramos up 3-1. He draws a walk. His approach has been just getting better and better. Even though the offensive results have not consistently been there, I feel like we're finally starting to get some of those results, at least over the last few weeks. He's been playing well. Daniel Schneemann goes down on the high fastball, does not like the call. Tells Angel to get some LASIK. That'll bring up Luis Angel Acuna. Goes down on the fastball. Considering we sent Colson Montgomery to the minors, we won't be afraid to send him down if he continues to struggle. Although the difference between the two of them is that Acuna is a great defender, and obviously Montgomery is not. Romeo Sanabria with a walk, second of the inning. And that presents a big opportunity for Braden Montgomery, who grounds it over to second base. Rengifo makes the play. Unfortunately, we do not get a big hit from Braden Montgomery, as it remains 1-0. Here's the rotation by the numbers this year. Top 10 in every major statistical category, including third in ERA, third in strikeouts. I think the biggest thing has been availability. Especially nowadays in Major League Baseball, there's so much movement with the pitching rotation because guys are always hurt. But we've had the same 5 guys be the 5 starters all year. Contreras all the way to the warning track. It's caught by Luis Robert. In other parks, that's probably a home run, so we got a little lucky there. Riley Green goes down on the cutter. That's 4 scoreless for Drew Thorpe. It seems like he's starting to build himself back into the same guy he was in April. 3-1 for Douglas Cato. Swings late. Jams it into right. Goes for a hit anyway. Bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. We've got one of our faster runners in scoring position. We'll see if we can drive them in. Dylan Cruz hits this ball high and fairly deep into center. It's got some carry. Meadows at the wall makes the play. I guess ball don't lie. The Comerica dimensions did not really help us out there. Still 1-0, a pitching duel between Tarek Skubal and Drew Thorpe. Thorpe's pitch count is a lot lower, though, than Skubal. I think we could get 6, 7 at least out of Drew Thorpe as Spencer Torkelson singles into center to start the inning. The DH for Detroit, just their second base runner of the afternoon. That'll bring up Tyrone Lorenzo with 1 away and a full count. As Lorenzo gets a piece of it into right center field. Lou Bob's not even going to move. He knows that one is out of here. 427 feet for Tyrone Lorenzo, his 4th of the year, and the Tigers are on the board. They take the lead. It's 2-1. Really competitive at bat by Lorenzo. Finished off with a hanging pitch up in the zone that he annihilates. The Tigers have not had much going for them at the plate, but all it takes is one pitch to change that, and Detroit has the lead. Full count for Oswald Peraza. He flies this one into center. Luis Robert tracks it down. He will make the play, but not before the Tigers take the lead. 2-run shot by Tyrone Lorenzo to make it 2-1. It has still been a great game for Thorpe. He's only allowed 3 base runners, but we're losing. The offense hasn't really given him anything. Detroit will make a pitching change. Tarek Skubal's pitching count was getting kind of high, and it'll be Joe Jimenez in his second stint with Detroit into the game, having a nice year, 2.3 ERA. Full count here for Brian Ramos, and he will draw a walk, his second in as many at-bats, and we will start the inning with a runner aboard. So Ramos is on. That'll bring up Daniel Schneemann. Count is even 1-1. And Schneemann immediately puts it on the ground, and our walk is all for naught. 3-6-3. Double play. Good work there by the Tiger infield. Luis Angel Acuna now up for the White Sox, behind in the count 1-2. And he chases the slider. That was not your pitch, buddy. Eugenio Suarez makes the play, and it remains 2-1. Only 5 hits. The offense just really has not been great throughout the first 2 series of the episode overall. Rengifo into right. Gets by Escobedo for a leadoff single. The Tigers' offense showing some signs of life after virtually nothing in the first 4 innings. They're getting a little something going here. Rengifo for second. The throw from Sanabria. In time! Say the line, kids. Part-time ball player. Full-time sniper. Normally that's Kyle Teal or Edgar Caro's job, but Sanabria is more of a first baseman. Makes the throw. Contreras goes down on the sweeper. Swings way too early. That's 6 from Drew Thorpe. I think he's got another inning out of him. I think the plan is that we're probably going to keep him out there. Trevor McGill in for the Tigers. They signed him in free agency. Detroit, of course, with a loaded bullpen. They spent quite a bit of money knowing that this could be the last year of their window, with key guys including Riley Green entering free agency this offseason. And speaking of, what a catch! Green with the diving grab off the bat of Kyle Teal, who entered the game as a pinch hitter, replacing Sanabria. Douglas Cato goes down looking on the fastball. Still nothing through 7. As I said earlier, we're going to keep Thorpe out there. He's pitching well. Pitch count is at 100, so we're going to be cautious with him as Riley Green goes down. But we kind of need him out there, given that the offense has given us nothing. Torkelson with a liner into left, his second hit of the game. And that'll give Detroit another runner aboard. We're not going to take Thorpe out yet, but the leash is getting quite short. Might be one more base runner. 3-2 for Eugenio Suarez. He draws a walk. Are we going to take him out yet? Not quite. We're going to keep him in for one more. It's Lorenzo who homered earlier. And he grounds this one to short. Could be a double play. Acuna to Escobedo. Over to first. Not in time! Lorenzo beats the throw. That'll keep the inning alive. And we're going to take Drew Thorpe out. He is getting gassed. I was really hoping we could turn the double play, get out of the inning. 7 strong for Thorpe. He'll be replaced by Tony Santillan. Started the year off really well. Has been a lot more up and down as of recent. 3-1 for Josue De Paula. He draws a walk, and the bases are now loaded for Detroit. You know, if this was us, the inning would be over. Why don't we give them a taste of our own medicine? 2-2 here for Oswald Peraza, who, of course, we had for a very brief point during the Giants franchise. I think it would have only been half a season. Peraza belts this one into right center. This could clear the bases as Luis Robert cannot make the play. The Tigers have 2. They will look to make it 3. De Paula is safe. A bases clearing triple for Oswald Peraza, and the Tigers have slammed the door. It's 5-1. Rengifo over to first. Ramos makes the play. I feel like he should have just ran in the bag, but whatever. 3-run inning for Detroit with a bases clearing 2-out triple by Oswald Peraza. And Thorpe, who pitched a great game, has now allowed 4 earned runs today. Like, how does that happen? Trevor Richards will pitch the 8th. I don't know why they have him pitching the 8th, but then McGill pitching the 7th when McGill is clearly better, but whatever. I digress. Escobedo puts it on the ground over to short, and the play is made. I thought he was going to beat out the throw there for a second. Trevor Richards, though, got injured. It looks like he hurt his leg. I'm not really sure what happened there, but after one batter, he'll be yanked. And Brennan Hanafy, who's been very good this year, 1.69, nice, ERA, will come in to replace him. With one away, it's Luis Robert, has not given as much offensively, 0 for 3. That one goes up the middle, though, for a base knock. And the White Sox get a runner aboard. Down by 4, this is what we got to do. Just stack some base runners. We don't need to swing for the fences quite yet. But get some guys on, and maybe we'll get a timely swing or 2. Dylan Cruz goes down on the slider. Not much today offensively from Cruz. With 2 away, that'll bring up Brian Ramos. He's been productive today despite not having a hit. He's walked twice. Ramos hits this ball high in the air, deep into right field. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone! Scrapes over 351 feet for Brian Ramos, and we've got ourselves a ball game. It's 5-3. His 10th home run of the year. Ramos has been awesome over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, had the rough season last year, had a great spring, and started this year slow. I was getting kind of nervous, but he's playing some of his best baseball. Parker Meadows draws a walk. Santillan, as you can see, still in the game. I don't think the numbers tell the full story with him. I feel a lot more confident than those stats suggest. But he's not pitching particularly well today as Contreras singles. 2 on, nobody out. Yeah, there's not really rationale to justify keeping him in the game here. So we're going to take him out. Faced off against 5 base runners and let 4 of them get aboard. So Santillan's day is done. He will be replaced out of the bullpen by the standout veteran. It is time for Paul Sewald to pitch. And whenever it's been time for Paul Sewald to pitch this year, we've been very successful. 1.5 ERA, whip below 1. He has been awesome. If you disregard positional value and whatnot, you can make the case that he's been our best player this year. That's how good he's been. As Riley Green goes down on the high fastball. Good start for Sewald. Even at 37 years old, his ratings are regressing, but his play is not. Spencer Torkelson goes down on the circle change. Another punch out for Paul Sewald. The middle of this Tiger order can't get anything off of him. Eugenio Suarez now for Detroit. That one gets away from Teal. Quickly back to him, but both runners move up. So now there's a pair of runners in scoring position. Base hit would bring in 2. Count is full for Suarez. Pitch from Sewald. Got him on the inside fastball. Great pitch by Sewald. Strikes out 3. Keeps us in the game after Santillan let up the 2 early runners. That'll bring us into the 9th. Tyler Holton. My glorious knight in shining armor. My demon. Looking for the save. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really been a demon in real life this year, but that's not the point. 17 of 19 in save ops this year. We're going to bring in Jacob Gonzalez off the bench. Even though it's the lefty-on-lefty matchup, he's playing really well. I trust him more than Acuna, and that decision pays off, as this one is going to go all the way to the wall. Thought about the triple, but he's not the important run. The next run is, so it doesn't really make sense to be aggressive with him. We just had to get him on base. Now the tie-in runs the board with nobody out. Lefty-on-lefty for Kyle Teal. This one is hit high and deep. Into left center field. Meadows after it, and he will make the play. I don't really see a reason to tag up Gonzalez. Again, he's not the guy we should be aggressive with. 1 away. That'll bring up Braden Montgomery. We could use a big Braden hit right about now. Or a walk. Man, that was the pitch. Crushes it. Foul. Count is full. Definitely will not complain with a walk, especially given that, that's his challenge for the month. But if it's a strike, we're certainly not going to let it go. He will get a strike, and he swings and misses. Really good pitch there by Tyler Holton. A lot of late movement. And the Sox are down to their final out. Back to the top of the order, it is Douglas Cato. And in the count, 3-1, and he draws a walk. Okay, tie and run is aboard. The winning run is at the plate. It is Oswaldo Escobedo. Can we get a big hit from Waldo in a clutch spot? Up the middle, base hit! I apologize, Oswaldo. I was not very familiar with your game with runners on base. Gonzalez scores. We're within 1. Look at this. Tie and run 90 feet away from home. Winning run is at first. Both guys happen to be really fast. And our best hitter, Luis Robert, is up at the plate. Looks at the sinker. The White Sox are down to their final strike. Lou Bob is obviously in a productive series. Drove in all 3 runs in the win yesterday for Chicago. Behind 1-2. Pops it up! It does not look like it's going to go too far as Eugenio Suarez makes the play, and the Tigers avoid the sweep despite the comeback bid by Chicago, scoring 3 over the last 2 innings. The Tigers win it 5-4. I feel like we could have easily won this game if not for the triple in the 7th inning by Oswald Peraza. I think we made a mistake keeping Drew Thorpe in as long as we did. He was pitching really well. Now, granted, we got unlucky. We should have been able to turn the double play, but Tyler Lorenzo beat out the throw. That hustle play was the difference between 3 runs. Him hustling to first base was probably the difference in the game. So it wasn't entirely Drew's fault, but he did allow the couple of base runners to put the Tigers in a spot where they could get the big triple. Ramos homer, drove in 2, walked twice. Waldo was good as well. Thorpe, I know the numbers don't show it. I thought he had a strong outing. Tony Santillan, not so much. And then Paul Sewald helped try to save us. Lorenzo had the homer and the hustle play to save the game. Peraza, of course, drove in the other 3. Good start by Tarek Skubal. Got away from the bullpen a little bit. Hannafy lets up 2. Holton lets up another. But the big home run in the 5th and the big triple in the 7th gives the Tigers just enough insurance to win the game. So even though we don't get the sweep, we did take 2, which ultimately was the goal. The next target date is the series against the Giants when Edgar Quero comes back. So we've got 3 against the Blue Jays, 3 against the Rangers. That'll be tough. Then we've got the Angels, who have now lost 17 in a row. Things are not going very well for them. We should win multiple games in that series at the very least. After the Angels, who have not won in basically a month, we've got the Diamondbacks and then the Orioles, who are pretty much right where we are in the AL wildcard race. So here against Toronto, this first game is tied at 3, top of the 8th. Bases loaded, and Pern Murphy's got to get us out of the jam against Jonathan Clase. The 1-2 on the ground to first. Ramos makes the play, tags the bag. Hey, it's nice seeing the other team leave him loaded. Would we win the game? No. Ramos would help us take the lead, but Toronto would score 3 in the 9th. The rookie Ezra Valenzuela blows the game and gets the loss. Not ideal. We did have some guys play well. Brian Ramos, as I mentioned, homered, had multiple hits. His average rises up to 258. Braden Montgomery drove in a run. Not drawing many walks so far in June, though, which isn't ideal. John Gray was okay. Bullpen was good until Ezra came in, and then it went downhill. Cody Hosey is off the injured list. He is healthy, and we're going to be sending Luis Angel Acuna down to AAA with Colson Montgomery, who has been playing quite well as of recent. Got to give him his credit. But Acuna has not been much better, at least offensively. The power has been bad. The contact has been bad. The plate discipline's been fine, but it doesn't really matter when you can't hit the ball. Now, he does have a positive WAR because his defense is so good. But again, the defense can only overcome so much. So we would lose the last 2 games against the Blue Jays. We got swept. We'll try to avenge it against the Rangers, down by 1, tying run aboard. The winning run is up. It's Jacob Gonzalez against the All-Star Ryan Helsley. Good night, everybody! Jacob Gonzalez crushes it into right center, and the White Sox walk it off. Following a 4-game losing streak and a sweep against the Blue Jays, this team needed some life injected into them. This could be the moment that we look back on as a potential turning point. Just the second home run of the year for Gonzalez. If you remember, his first home run was also a walk-off against the A's earlier in the year. I guess he is just made for the moment. Also, I've got to point out that was an A-plus pimp job. Got to give credit where credit's due. The Rangers are not looking like the back-to-back-to-back American League champs that we've seen through the first 3 seasons of the series. The team is right around 500. Jock Peterson homered twice, but nobody else was all that impressive for them offensively. Tyler Mahle, 7 scoreless. We didn't get any runs until the bottom of the 8th. But our offense was able to storm back. 3-run homer in the 8th by Luis Robert, and obviously Gonzalez with the walk-off. Well, that game did end up giving us some momentum as we would get the sweep against the Rangers, and now we've got the Angels, who are no longer on their crazy losing streak. They're still not playing well. Bases loaded, top 7, 2 away. Schneemann into left. It is caught. We went into this game with a 4-game win streak. We beat the Angels in the first matchup. However, we would lose here. Couple of home runs for both sides. Cato and Lubob each went deep in the 9th, but it would not matter as the Angels win it anyway, 6-5. We had a solid offensive game, 12 hits, 4 walks. Not enough from the pitching, particularly Santillan again in the 7th, who continues to struggle. Hagen Smith was solid, 6 innings, 3 earned. Robert Gasser solid as well for the Angels. We cannot afford to lose this series against them, but the offense, who's played well through the first 2 games, is now giving us a stinker here in the last one. Tied at 1, top 12. Can we get another big Gonzo hit? Oh, that is not what I meant. I mean, he got hit and injured. He hurt his bicep and is going to have to come out of the game. Well, that is awfully unfortunate, so we're going to bring in Corey Julks as a pinch runner. The bases are now loaded. How will we screw this up? We didn't score in the 10th or the 11th. Now give the pitching credit for keeping us in it. Big opportunity here for Braden Montgomery, who's 0 for 4. Crushes this pitch, but it goes foul. Much like the Tiger game, he had one like that in the 9th. Ahead in the count, 2-1 against Hans Kraus. Why did you swing at that? You have got to be kidding me. 5-4-3 double play. We don't score anyone. This team is so predictable. That pitch was well outside the zone as well. Well, the Angels did not score in the bottom of the 12th, so we'll move into the 13th. The pitching is saving us. 2 on, 1 away. Luis Robert against Luis Patino. As this one is up the middle. Flip to second. Another double play. This team is infuriating. Let's go to the bottom of the 13th. Bases loaded. 1 away. Russell Russo has a chance to finish it against Tony Santillan. And this one goes on the ground. Hosey, Escobedo, over to Ramos. 5-4-3 double play. No one wants to score. Through 4 extra innings with a runner starting at second base, no one is getting runs. Well, in the 14th, both teams would score. It's now 3-2. And now the Angels have a chance to tie. Luca Mistretta, single into right. They will hold the runner at third. Now everybody wants to hit the ball. That'll bring up Liam Hicks. First pitch goes for the bunt. Does not work. Ramos catches it off the fly. And as he was sliding back to first, Luca Mistretta hurt his knee. Not good news for the former subscriber-made international free agent. as he'll be replaced by Zach Levinson. Tying run at third, winning run at second. Zach Neto up for the Angels. Behind in the count 0-2. Got him looking on the cutter. And this game finally is over. Thank God. That was brutal. It doesn't feel like we won, even though we did. 3-2. The offense was disgusting. Got to give the pitching their due. 4 extra innings without allowing a run. They did let one up in the 14th. But luckily, we had some padding. Out of the bullpen, Jairo Iriarte, Penn Murphy, Tony Santillan, and Ezra Valenzuela. 9 innings, 0 earned runs. Those guys are the MVPs of the game for us. Jacob Gonzalez bruised his bicep. Nothing too serious. Won't have to go on the IL. He will probably miss a couple of days, so we will not get a walk-off in this series against Arizona from him, which we wouldn't anyway because we're on the road. Dylan Cruz, MCL sprain. He'll be out for a week or two. He will go to the IL. We were down in this game 3-0 going into the top of the 9th, but we ended up tying the game. The Diamondbacks completely blew it, and now we're looking to take the lead. Cody Hosey will come in off the bench. We have missed him. 2 aboard, 1 away. Hosey belts it into right. That is a fair ball. It'll roll to the wall. Kyle Teal is in for the lead. We're going to try to bring a second run across. Play at the plate. Not in time. Canzone, the former Diamondback, is safe, and it's 5-3. Utter implosion from the Diamondbacks as Bryce Jarvis, 2.9 ERA and around 50 innings, will come in out of the bullpen. We will go back to the bench, this time for Braden Montgomery, trying to add to the lead even more. Count is even 2-2. Montgomery up the middle. Nice scoop by Jarvis. I thought that was going to be a hit. Maybe score Hosey. We're going to go to the bench a third time. Jacob Gonzalez is back. He is doing better off of his bicep injury. This is his first at-bat since he got plunked as the count is 1-0. Gonzalez grounds it over to second. Play is made, but not before the White Sox score 5. What an inning for Chicago to keep the game alive and ultimately win it. I wouldn't describe this team as particularly clutch, but they certainly were here in the 9th to get in a rally, grab some runs across, get a bunch of base runners aboard after doing nothing the first 8 innings of the game. John Gray was okay. Bullpen was very solid again. Really good showing from the pen. They've had some very good games as of recent. Corbin Burns nearly went the entire way. 8 scoreless innings and kind of fell off in the 9th. Claudio Rubio will come up. He's replacing Dylan Cruz on the roster. And then we would get some bad news. Brian Ramos, fractured forearm. He'll be out for 2 to 3 months. And the timing of this sucks because he's been playing so well as of recent. But oh buddy, it's just getting started. We've got more bad news. Douglas Cato tears his Achilles in the exact same game. And mind you, this is 2 days before Edgar Caro is back. The vibes are supposed to be good. And we have 2 guys suffering long-term injuries. Brian Ramos has been playing out of his mind. Average up to 268, slugging 532. OPS is just shy of 900. Where was this guy all of last year? The power, the plate discipline, the contact, I mean, it's been unbelievable. Hitting 342 over his last 10. He's been playing so well. And then Douglas Cato, torn Achilles, done for the year. He will likely be out until, at best, June of next year. We knew he was injury prone when we drafted him, and through 3 seasons, he's played 171 games. The guy's a good ball player, but he cannot stay on the field. He missed the first month and a half with an injury, came back, is finally starting to play well after a slow start. OPS nearing 1,100 in his last 10, and then boom. Torn Achilles, and he will be out probably for the next 12 months. And again, we're supposed to be excited to have Edgar Caro back. Emmanuel Rivera and Dylan Cruz are both about to come off the IL. The vibes are supposed to be high. Well, if you're looking for some good news, we are about to potentially sweep the Orioles. We won the first 2 games. Here in this last game, Claudio Rubio has homered twice. And we'll see if we can get a third in what is a 4-0 ball game. Really good pitching performance from Drew Thorpe, as Rubio will not get the third home run. He goes down on the circle change. White Sox would win it 4-0, your final score. We do sweep the Orioles, which is a big deal because they are firmly in the mix for an AL wildcard spot just like us. We should be really happy right now. We're playing good baseball. We have performed very well as of recent. We've won 9 of our last 12 games. Edgar Quero is about to come back. Emmanuel Rivera and Dylan Cruz will be as well. But the vibes just feel off. Brian Ramos and Douglas Cato were playing some awesome baseball. Ramos won't be back until September, and Cato's probably going to miss 12 months. So it feels weird, put it that way. Even though the team is playing well, it feels like it's coming at a cost. Great game from Rubio. He homered twice, first 2 of the year, and then Drew Thorpe went the entire way. He only allowed 2 base runners. 9 innings, 2 hits, 0 walks, 7 strikeouts. Best game of his career. Braden Montgomery drawed a walk. That's not correct English. He drew a walk. We'll keep that in there because it was funny. We went through a lot of games in this stretch, including our sweep against Toronto. We scored nothing in this game. Waldo had 2 errors. His defense has been bad here in the month of June. He was playing so well defensively. I don't know what happened. Against the Rangers, though, we got the sweep, as I mentioned. Douglas Cato homered. Brian Ramos homered. I'm going to go cry myself to sleep. Kyle Teal homered as well, and luckily he's not injured. In this last game, Teal homered and tripled, while John Gray got the win against his former team. 9-7 against the Angels, big showing offensively. Teal homered again. Ramos homered again. Rough outing for the Angels pitching staff. Not that ours was honestly that much better. We only took 1 against Arizona, that crazy comeback. But then we swept the O's. We won the first game 6-3. Brian Ramos homered and drove in 4. I'm sad again. The second game is where both Cato and Ramos got injured. We still won with homers for Lou Bob and Schneemann. Wisniewski with a good start. Waldo with another error. So halfway through the season, that puts us above 500. 41-40, 2 out of the wild card, 2 out of the division. And now we get to do what I have been waiting for since the start of the year. Injuries on Manuel. Edgar Quero, welcome back. You are healthy now. We're free. Edgar Quero will be returning to the team. But the baseball gods decided to take away 2 of our better players in his place. Because apparently God hates us. I thought the Pope was going to work on fixing that. I guess there's some progress that still needs to be made. So Edgar Quero will be batting 4th. We are going to switch him around from DHing, catching, and playing a little first base as well. Remember, we taught him how to play that position in the offseason. We've got a lot of guys who can play first base now. Brian Ramos can do it. Cody Hosey can do it. Obviously, Emmanuel Rivera, who's very close to coming back healthy, he can do it. We're going to player lock the entire series against the Giants with Edgar Quero. I want to get my swings in with him after missing it for half a season. 81 games down, 81 to go, and we've got our superstar back after an all-star Silver Slugger and Rookie of the Year campaign in 2027. Quero's finally back after missing the first half of the year. I've been counting down the days on the calendar until we would get here. He will be catching today. He's mostly going to catch when we play against lefties because Kyle Teal does not usually start against left-handers. John Gray on the bump for the White Sox, and then for the Giants, it'll be Carson Whisenhunt. Bottom 1, 2 away. Luis Robert aboard. We'll see what Quero can do in his first at-bat back since last year. As the first pitch goes away, Lou Bob goes for second, and he is out of there! I guess we're not going to have our first at-bat here. It wasn't off of the hit. I guess Luis Robert drew a walk, which is pretty rare for him. So he did all that, worked a walk, just to be thrown out at second. Well, we're going to try that again. Bottom of the second, Quero back up at the plate here against Whisenhunt. We'll show the entirety of the first at-bat as he fouls off the first pitch. A little late on the fastball. It's going to take him a little bit, certainly, to get acclimated again against Major League pitching. But if it's anything like when he made his debut at the end of Season 2, I think he could get rolling sooner than later. That was a good take. Curveball just on the outside portion of the strike zone. Count is even 1-1 as he fouls another one off. Remember, Quero in the first month of the year last season was hitting below 200. I had mentioned how he was hitting the ball well and he was unlucky and he was going to play better, which obviously ended up being the case. But again, it might take a little bit of time. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be smooth sailing. He hasn't played outside of some spring training in 9 months. He's working a nice at bat here, though. If he can improve his plate discipline, I think he would be complete as a hitter. The walk rate just was not great last year. 3-2, sharply over to third. Matt Chapman makes the play. Throw to first is in time. Good at bat, though, from Caro. He was able to work the full count, and he was able to do it from behind. Into the fourth, no score. Both John Gray and Carson Whisenhunt performing quite well, as this one is hit up the middle over to short. Willie Adames makes the play. Throw to first is in time. Caro hits that one solidly, but is now 0 for 2. Oh my God, what in the world? It's 6-0. Luis Matos 3-run double. Patrick Bailey 3-run homer. Well, this took a turn. Eduardo Rodriguez, another lefty, is in the game as Caro belts this pitch into left, and it is foul. Hit that one well, 108 off the bat, but was a little bit ahead of it and now finds himself behind in the count, 0-2. Following pitch from Rodriguez, this one is hit high, in the air, into right, and it will be caught by Pavin Smith. We will move forward now into the bottom of the 8th. We're making a little rally. Montgomery, Jose, Escobedo all bringing in runs. You know, if we can keep this going, maybe we can really put ourselves back into the game. The Giants have brought in their closer way early, Ryan Walker, as Caro belts this ball into center. Has a little bit of carry, but not enough. It will be caught. Caro goes 0 for 4 in his season debut, and the Giants win at 8-4, adding a little bit of insurance with a solo shot by Owen Miller. Even though Caro did not get on base, first and foremost, it was just good to have him back out there. I thought he had some good hacks. He hit the ball fairly well. It's just that nothing ended up really dropping for him. The Giants started slow offensively, but then Matos and Bailey really opened the door for them and our offense. They were solid late, 4 in the 7th, but it was not enough. Now we're going to play against Logan Webb here in the second game. That certainly will not be easy. Noah Schultz on the bump for Chicago. He has been very up and down through the month of June. It seemed like he was really playing well coming into the episode. Has not been as good since, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get a better outing out of him today. As we take a look at where the White Sox offense ranks over the last 12 games, 18 home runs. That's a lot. And we're hitting for good average in that stretch. 257. I'll take that any day of the week. Caro DHing today since we're facing off against a righty. It is a full torrential downpour here in Chicago. Luis Robert aboard again. Hopefully he doesn't get caught stealing again. We'll see if Caro can drive him in with a base hit as he fouls off the first pitch. Logan Webb is kind of like Hunter Green, where he hasn't been bad throughout the series, but I definitely wouldn't say he's been good either. As Caro belts it into the opposite field, that's going to drop. Lou Bob looks to score. He is safe. Caro to second. He slides in with an RBI double. The White Sox on the board. They lead it 1-0. Edgar Caro with his first hit and RBI of the year as we are now down 5-1. Great. Bryce Eldridge, 2-run homer. Brett Wisely, 3-run homer. Noah Schultz still cannot keep it in the ballpark. 2-2 for Caro. Got him looking. Inside sinker. He wants that one back. Good pitch by Logan Webb. Same score, bottom 6. Caro now 1 for 6 on the year. Logan Webb still in the game. Pitch count really low at only 64. As Caro gets a piece of it, his second hit of the game. Goes into right field for a base knock. Hey, if you want to start a rally, this is how you do it. Well, we would make the game quite a bit closer. Jacob Gonzalez, homer, and then the Giants hit 2 more. Willie Adames and Luis Matos. 7-2 in the 9th. Another base hit, though. Single into center. Even though it was not a great game for us offensively, Edgar Caro goes 3 for 4 with an RBI double and a pair of singles. Claudio Rubio would hit a 2-run homer, driving him in. But we still lose 7-4, losing the first 2 games of the series against the Giants, back under 500 at 41-42. We were over 500 without Edgar Caro, and now we're 0-2 with him. Interesting. Rubio's homered 3 times in the last 3 days. Gonzalez's first home run that isn't a walk-off. Schultz's ERA now hovering around 4. As Emmanuel Rivera returns, we don't have to send anybody down because we technically already put guys off the roster, that being Brian Ramos, and Douglas Cato, who both went on the injured list. So now into the last game of the series here against the Giants, looking to avoid the sweep against the 47-37 Giants. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to catch the Dodgers in the NL West. Possibly that number one wild card. That's where they currently are seated in the standings. As we take a look at both lineups, Caro will be catching again, given that it is a lefty. Kyle Harrison on the bump. We're already down 1-0. Elliot Ramos brings home an early run off of Hagen Smith. Against the talented lefty Kyle Harrison, count is even 1-1. Ooh, that one almost hit him. The last thing we need is for him to get hurt again after missing the entire first half of the year. Now sitting at 2-1, Caro gets a pitch he likes, hits it pretty well into right, but not well enough. I think off the bat he thought that one was going to have more carry, but unfortunately it is caught. Tied at 3, the Giants would add to it, but Oswaldo Escobedo, 3-run homer to knot this one up. Big swing for Waldo. 2-2, got him looking on the low fastball. Nice pitch there by Kyle Harrison. He's able to get out of the inning. Not before the Sox score 3. Still tied at 3 into the 6th. Harrison remains in the game. 0-1 for Caro. Belts this one into left. That'll go for a hit. Even though he has not hit a home run yet, I was hoping he would in this series. He's hitting the ball fairly hard and fairly well. Daniel Schneemann, 2-run homer. Caro was the other player who scored on the homer, so it's a good thing we got on base. And now the count is full 3-2 against Tristan Beck. Working another nice count. Swung a little too late there at the fastball. This has been a long at bat as he fouls off another fastball. He's been behind, but he's staying alive. Count remains full against Beck. The following 3-2 fouls off another one. Beck keeps throwing the fastball. Caro remains behind it, but he's still fouling it. Now on for the 8th pitch of the at-bat. Fouls off another fastball behind. Jesus Christ, these guys are not going to quit. Count remains full for Edgar Caro, and he draws a walk again on the fastball. Give Edgar credit, man. He really worked him and was able to get aboard. Jacob Gonzalez would drive him in off of a sac fly, and the White Sox avoid the sweep. We would win it 6-3. So at least we took a game in this series. Edgar Caro got on base twice with a hit and a walk, and he ended up scoring both times. So it certainly was helpful that he got on. Harrison with the loss. Hagen Smith was pretty solid. Bullpen with a good game. Burke ends up with the win. Another save for Ezra Valenzuela. We're back at 500, 42-42 with one more series today. 4 in Houston against the Astros. Dylan Cruz is back. We originally brought up Claudio Rubio for him, but Claudio's balling. I'm not going to send him down, so instead, we're going to send down Canzone. Tied at 8 in the bottom of the 9th inning. We ended up losing the first game. 2-on for Cam Smith. Pops it up. Hosey is under it, and he will make the play. I feel like most of these close games, it's the offense who lets us down. Today, I mean, we scored 8 runs, but the pitching has not given us anything. Yanier Diaz looking to win it for the Astros, and it looks like he will. Singles into right. That should score the run. Cruz unable to get it off quickly, and the Astros walk it off. Yanier Diaz with the winner. Cedric Mullins scores 9-8, an offensive thriller won by the Astros. A lot of guys played well for both sides. Gonzalez, Schneemann, Escobedo, all homer. The only guy who didn't get on was Edgar Caro, who went 0 for 5. He did not play very well in this one. Drew Thorpe, 4 innings, 4 earned. Not good, especially coming off the game against the Orioles, where he allowed 2 base runners in 9 innings and pitched as well as I've ever seen him. Now 3-2 here in the bottom of the 8th. The Astros have 2 aboard here. Penn Murphy on the bump. I think he's been our most consistent reliever this year. Caden Polkovich into left, hits it well. Montgomery under it. He will make the play. Paul Sewald gets out of another jam. And now we're going to look to shut the door here in the 9th as Ezra Valenzuela goes for the save. Brandon Montgomery homered in this game. That's pretty dope. Still not drawing many walks. I think he only has like 4 all month. So his plate discipline's not going to go up by that much. As Kwan with 2 away sends it into left center. It is caught by Luis Robert. And the White Sox win their first of the 4-game set as we take it by the final score of 3-2. We'll see if we can split the series in the fourth and final. A lot more pitching in this game, that's for sure. BMO homered. Cody Hosey had 3 hits. Nobody else really stood out. Edgar Caro with another goose egg. He went 0 for 4 playing first base in this one. His average down to 208. John Gray was good. 6 innings, 2 earned. Griffin Canning also good. Still gets the loss. We did end up winning the last game, though, against Houston, 6-3. Caro had 2 hits and a walk. Played a lot better. Noah Schultz, 6 1/3 scoreless. Good to see him playing well after a pretty bad month. And that puts us at 44-44. We started the episode 500 and we ended at 500. Yet again, we're going to end 500 for a 3rd episode in a row. Before we wrap up, though, we've got some scouting to discuss. We had the 9th pick in the first round, the 31st pick in the first round, thanks to Edgar Caro, winning the Rookie of the Year. I think this is a good class, and going into it, I kind of wanted to pick a pitcher in the first round. I know that's normally not what I do. There are some pitchers I like, but there are a lot of good bats. We're going to have a tough choice once we get to that 9th pick. There are some good pitchers, though, in this class, I've got to say. We'll start with the projected number 1 pick, Russell Lim, a college arm who looks like the real deal. His pitches have nasty movement, good Ks per 9, good walks per 9. I think he'd be a good fit for us. I like his pitch mix. He doesn't throw super hard, but he wins with finesse. He wins with his control. I would be very surprised if he falls to number 9, but we've seen highly projected guys dip in the draft before, whether it's reasons of bonus demand or teams just not being that high on him. So there's a chance he dips. I'd be surprised again if it's at number 9. The next pitcher I like is Cameron Roberts, another college arm. He throws hard and he does not draw walks. Those are 2 qualities that I really look for in my prospect pitchers. 4-seamer that tops at 98, 2-seamer that tops at 98, a nasty sweeping curve, and a slider that goes up to 92. There's a real shot he's on the board at 9, and he's absolutely in play. I'm a huge fan of his game. Our scouts are a little bit lower on Guillermo Castillo, but I think there's something here with him, and if the board does not play out well for us, kind of like it did in Season 2, we're going to need to have backup plans. Does not allow hits, throws it pretty hard, fastball at 98, pretty good pitch mix, and he's a guy we've done a lot of work on, so I feel confident in our evaluation. Dan Akar, Justin Robert, 2 other guys who our scouts seem to be pretty high on. And then as we look down the board a little bit, I think the big wild card here is Israel Cairo, an 18-year-old high school arm from Venezuela. I really like the skill set. Throws hard, strikes guys out, hits per 9 and walks per 9 both look good. I would be fully on board with him and his 5 pitches at number 9, but he failed his physical. And especially for pitching, that is a concern. I could see him possibly slipping to number 31, given that it's not a lock that he would have been a top 20 pick or anything. In terms of depth, I like the guys here possibly who could go in the 2nd round. That's normally the sweet spot for me with arms. So whether it's at 31 or 46, then out of the bullpen, Michael Logan, good college arm. Joey Smith, we've fully scouted. I think he could be an MLB contributor, maybe not as soon as Ezra Valenzuela, but sooner than later. Logan as well, I think, is kind of in the same boat. We haven't done a lot of work on the catchers, but Marcelo Alonso and Alonso Marrero, both projected in the top 5. I did scout some of the guys after, maybe to see if they'd be options at like 31. Willis Wolf looks okay. Phil Cash, I don't think is as bad as the scouts project him to be. But let's move over to first base, because this is where things get fun. Loaded first base class. You've got 4 guys who are probably going in the first round. Andy Vick is the first guy I scouted. I figured, okay, maybe he's pretty good. And then I saw these 2. Tom Ye and Shane Schmidt. Both look awesome. We'll start with Ye, an 18-year-old from China. This guy looks the part. 6'4", 240. He's big. He's physical. He's imposing. Power, check. Contact, check. I think he can be a multi-dimensional player, though. He's got good plate skills. I think he plays defense pretty well. He can catch. So I think he's kind of got some upside to be an all-around player. Shane Schmidt, I don't really see that with. I don't think he's the defensive player that Ye is. I don't think he's got the plate skills. But I think he's a little bit more naturally talented offensively. And maybe the pure bat has a little bit higher of a ceiling. Our scouts love this guy. They think he's the 2nd best prospect in the draft. And if he's on the board at 9, they will be pounding the table for us to pick him. We've done quite a bit of work on the second baseman. Guillermo Liriano doesn't look that great. Luis Mata could be an option, probably at 46. Zeke Colbert at third base. I like him at number 31. He, to me, is the high school lefty version of Barney Wagner. Great contact, great plate skills. And then Buddy Fitzgerald, switch hitter. We're going to scout him during the last stage, so I think he'll be a name to watch. At shortstop, Tommy Dennis. Talented young 19-year-old, projected to go third overall. Our scouts fully see it with him. I think he's got great defensive potential. Somebody who's going to be able to stick at shortstop. My question is, what type of offensive production will he bring to the table? If I'm drafting you 9th overall, you've got to be able to hit the ball. He hasn't consistently done that yet. Cletus Terrell, I think, is a pretty solid second-round option. And then Juan Benitez, really high floor guy. In the outfield, Reggie McClendon, I was hoping he would be better. He could have been a choice for us at number 9. But it's okay, because Lawrence Pokey looks awesome. I scouted him thinking he'd be an option at number 31. No, he's not an option at 31. He's an option for us at number 9. 18-year-old switch hitter, plays all the outfield spots, really good contact, does not strike out. The power, I think, is pretty solid. This is a guy who I think can share the top of the order with a Barney Wagner. He can hit righties. He can hit lefties. Really, really intriguing contact profile. And then Clay Fully-Love, I think, would be a good choice for us at number 31. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2025. Did not sign. Decided to go to college, and it paid off. He's raised his draft stock and could go in the 1st round. I really like what he provides defensively. I think the offense is pretty solid as well. Contact, power, plate skills. Nothing spectacular, but he checks off all the boxes for me. He really doesn't have many major weaknesses. I don't think this is a particularly loaded outfield class. The running gag in the Giants series last year is that we only drafted outfielders early. Now this series, we're only drafting infielders. Brian Keough was a guy who I was hoping would be a little better. He would be a guy I'd consider at 31, but he's probably going to go more in the range of pick 9. So it's certainly an interesting class. The strengths, I would say, obviously the first base position, Tom Ye, Shane Schmidt, both are going to be high on the board for us at number 9. I like some of the pitchers as well. Russell Lim, obviously, he probably will go pretty early. Cameron Roberts, I think, would definitely be in play. Maybe there's a surprise. Maybe a guy like Lawrence Pokey in the outfield. That's where we're going to wrap things up. Next time around, we will get set for the month of July. The MLB Draft, who do you guys think we should pick? We've got the All-Star festivities, and we've got a brutal schedule this month. Look, if we go 500 again in July, I would consider it kind of a win because we play the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Brewers. The Royals are sort of in it for a wild card spot. The Mets are pretty good. Boston's pretty good. I mean, at least we get 3 games at home against the Nationals, who might be the worst team in the league. Everybody else here is either good or, in the case of the Royals, is directly competing with us for a playoff spot. In terms of potential All-Stars, we've got quite a few in terms of pitching and hitting. So Hayden Wesneski's currently 2nd for relief pitcher voting. I'll switch him to a starter because that's not really fair because he's not a reliever. But look who's at 1st in terms of the closers. 1st in the AL, 2nd overall, Ezra Valenzuela, who leads for the reliever of the year as a rookie. Yet he's not in the rookie of the year race. That is weird. But he's having himself quite the stretch. Kyle Teal, 2nd amongst catchers. Luis Robert, 2nd amongst center fielders. So it looks like some combination of that group of 3 will make the All-Star team. All 3 of them very deserving. Hopefully they all end up making it. Lou Bopp certainly should with his play as of recent. Kyle Teal, who's done so well in place of Edgar Quero. He deserves so much credit for holding down the fort while Quero was out. And then Ezra, who's currently the frontrunner for the AL reliever of the year as a rookie. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.